I tell you what, Transformers Victory fans have been eating and eating well of late. I know it was always clearly the intended purpose of this mold set to end up as Dino King via the Dino Force, but how good is it that it's finally happened? Let's cue the music, then get into these Jurassic jabroni, shall we? And here's the fossilized fiends in the flesh, or metal, or cybertonium, whatever. I like to think of them as the spiritual precursors to the Dino Force, but that might just be me. So let's do some introductions, shall we? Forgive me if I completely butcher this, but I'm going to give it a crack. Kaku Ryu, Rai Ryu, Yoku Ryu, Gai Ryu, Goryu, Doryu. Man, it's got a little bit of a Hobbit-esque Name the Dwarfs feeling to it, right? I like this set so much more as these guys than the Dinobots turning into Volcanicus. Not just because I hate the idea of Volcanicus, because the Dinobots are a team, but they're not that kind of, defense or buddy-buddy sycophantic friendship where we need to be one dude crew. But if you're not acquainted, let me give you the gist. So the Dino Force and by extension Dino King made their on-screen debut in the Transformers Victory series. The toy was just a reshelled, recolored Monstructor, using dinosaurs instead of boglins. Awesomely styled dinosaurs, I might add. What was cool about these guys, and a little bit different to other Japanese Transformer pretenders, is their shells served as mounts and seemed to be sentient and beloved by their riders. Their role in the series was largely comic relief, with them getting their robo-butts handed to them at every turn. Deathsaurus would always lead with the Dino Force before upping the stakes by having Leo Kaiser roll in. That said, they were a surprisingly likable bunch, a really unified team. Like, they all had each other's back. When they got their butt handed to them by Victory Leo for the final time, they all tried to do a Spartacus and sacrifice themselves so the others could escape. Victory Leo ultimately taking pity on them and telling them to rest up. By the end of the series, Deathsaurus had had enough of their bumbling and abandoned them, something that they didn't know about until a meteor smashed them, and eventually the Autobots had to help them heal up in the Autobot shuttle. So they obviously come with a slew of accessories, some of which are already incorporated into them. For example, straight out the gate, you're going to want to attach Gai Ryu's tail, otherwise he's not much of an Ankylosaurus and much more of a turtle. Until this, I hadn't realized that tail was the main distinction between Ankylosaurus and turtle, but there we are. Similarly, Kaku Ryu, you need, the head to make his tail. This piece here finishes out Goryu's tail. But then also in a move that some will call laziness, others will call delightful G1 throwback, there's a whole host of other pieces that are required to finish off the combiner, as well as a veritable bevy of weaponry to give him his patented axe in Gestalt mode. What's nifty though is they have cooked up ways that you can incorporate all of these extra accessories into their dino modes for handy storage. Yoku Ryu takes that extra fist, Doryu takes the sickle and the sword, Rai Ryu gets these awesome missile pods, very subtle. Goryu gets this club, and with a little bit of a partial transformation, Kaku Ryu takes everything else. So look, I've seen much more carefully integrated weapon storage in the past, but given the kind of, Bebop and Rocksteady doofus persona that these guys are rocking, I think just having stuff smashed onto the top and thinking they're all the cooler for it is the kind of affectation I would expect from these bozos. As one might expect, the articulation on these guys in Dino mode is a little limited, but it's certainly not non-existent, and I've seen figures at a much larger scale do less with more. All of them have at least one set of articulated limbs, some of them are molded, but that's fine, they've got a lot to do. I mean, by way of transformation, Kaku Ryu even manages to have an articulated jaw. Some appendages are even ball jointed or universal jointed. Admittedly, I'm not really a core class connoisseur, but I don't know. I think we can all agree he's going to go into Dino King mode and pretty well stay there, right? The most limited is definitely Rai Ryu, who just has, a little subtle hint of maybe he could move. He looks like he could move. Functionally, he may as well have come out of a Kinder Surprise. So let's scope some robot mode, shall we?
Some call them pretenders, they call themselves best friends. For their leader, Goryu, they'll battle to the end. Well, soon of Dino Fury, trusting mounts are there when it counts to victory. They will ride, victory may elude them, but good times never do. The Dino Force are warriors, and fighting's what they do. They get back up and try again, for they are You call them the Dino Force, but they're really Dino Kings, proving that for victory you don't need saber wings. They might get knocked to the ground, and when they land their cross, but these Dino dudes are ready to defend their T-Rex boss. Victory may elude them, but good times never do. The Dino Force are warriors, and fighting's what they do. They get back up and try again, for they are Destron true.
So look, for what they are, they're pretty good. It just is unfortunate that what they are is not very good. I don't know. Like I said, I don't often core class because I like a bigger, more articulated, more detailed robot, but I do still think it's important to have these smaller purchase points. For entry-level people, for kids, it's, you know, not every figure can be a HasLab exclusive, you know what I mean? The articulation with these guys, though, is wildly varied. Get a couple of dudes who are repping like Doryu, where it's bowl-jointed shoulders, past a 90 bend on the elbows, waist swivel, little bit of head swiv, slightly limited bowl joints at the hips, but nothing, you know, crazy. Past a 90 on the knees, and that's, you know, pretty well all the articulation one would expect from some deluxe figures, sans ankle tilt and wrist swivel. And then, you know, that goes all the way through to characters like Ryu, where it's just a bowl jointed shoulder, weird torso swivel. And then I'm kind of impressed by the engineering involved in making these fake legs look like legs, but then you know, he does have these egregious and outrageous saddlebags. Not the most articulated little dudes ever, but I don't know, was anyone expecting them to be? They've got a lot to do. New head sculpts in all these bad boys, which is a really nice touch. It goes a long way to making these molds their own. But for all their articulation shortcomings, there's enough going on that should the need arise, the crew can go full Ginyu. Individually they may be on the weaker side, but the cheerleader effect is strong with this crew. All of those weapons and gestalt combining pieces that had places to tuck away and arm up in Dino mode also obviously have applications in robot mode, some more effective than others. Ryu's arm-mounted missile pods are undeniably awesome. Much cooler than the fists pretending to be guns that Guy Ryu and Yoku Ryu are forced to lug around. Yoku Ryu's is low-key embarrassing. I love that they managed to include a Goryu's club. He's always bowling about with that club in the show. That twin pistol, that's definitely a Grimlock holdover, right? The real accessory winners here are Kakuryu and Doryu, who are just armed up to the nines. And just before we move on, I thought, you know what? We gotta peep this crew alongside their boss, the Grand Poobah of Pain, and it's not a nice match. If nothing else, it's just a friendly reminder of how exceptional Deathsaurus is. And for a final comparison, let's have a look at something we so often saw in the show. Alrighty, time for the main event. Let's give these Ginyu goons the Gestalt treatment, shall we?
In the shadow of destruction, we rise, born from steel and primal cries. The world may cast us out as beasts, but we are warriors all in each. Under fire, under siege, the skies grow dark, but we fight together, flame in every spark. The planet shakes to doubt our might, but Dino Force is ready for the fight. We're outcasts, we're rogues, but not alone. Together we stand, hearts good and soul. The enemy's close, they doubt our might, but Dino Force is ready for the fight. We're outcasts, we're rogues, but not alone. Together we stand, hearts carved in stone. The enemy's close, they think they won, but Dino Force has just begun. We are the Dino Force, thunder roars. Together we rise, we are the storm. Against the odds we forge our wings. United we fight, we are Dino King. The world may fear when we become, but with each other we'll overcome. Through fire and steel, hear our call ring. We will unite as Dino King. From the depths of pain and the trials we face, we charge ahead in this deadly race. Enemies tremble at the earth's great quake, knowing that muscle and rage. Ancient beasts spring out of their cage. Hearts as one, our souls take flight, merging as Dino King tonight.
And there he is, the mighty Dino King.
But me Grimlock mighty Dino King.
Not today, Grim. Sorry, bro. So, as you may have just noted, he is relatively diminutive for a combiner, but what do you expect when he was made out of so many baby dinosaurs? Right? They did look like they should be hanging out in a junkyard with Cade Yeager. Despite his diminutive status, he is not without a certain charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent. The weapons are awesome. If you want to stow him, you can just go ahead and port this one onto his back, and his gun can get held by a tiny Ankylosaurus hand. So look, as much as I'm vibing on this guy, he is not without some drawbacks. The arms, a lot of the time, because they're just, 5mm pegged in, will come off as you try and, articulate him. They're not too bad, it's really just that, back and forth will untab them. The head swivels, the arms go all the way around as we saw. They've got a fair amount of in and out. Little kiss over the top that they do. You can bicep swivel them, but there's a whole mess of dino bits that'll get in the way. Like they're gonna hit on those arms every time. On this arm, when you try and twist it, it's gonna catch on the wings. It's not the end of the world. You can make allowances for it, decent bend. This set has some extra advantages over the Volcanicus set. I'm pretty sure he has much more articulated wrists than the other one did. More like clearly defined wrist pieces. I do find though the Ankylosaurus tail wrist just continuously wants to pop off. That is not on there particularly well. He also, these new feet pieces, have built-in ankle tilt to lead to more articulation. It's a pretty similar story with the knee bends in terms of like the more you do it, the looser they'll get, but he's got a thigh swivel, 90 bend, you saw the ankle tilts. He's got a waist swivel. The two torso pieces lock in incredibly tightly. On the whole, I think he's a lot more sturdy than a lot of the Combiner Wars figures were, for the most part. So now that he's all fully combined, let's peep him alongside Deathsaurus again, and yeah, that's still terrible. So there you have it. That's all things Dino Force and all things Dino King. There's definitely a part of me that would have liked to have seen Dino King fully realized at a larger scale and price point, but that's going fully all in for Hashtag on Victory, which is a pretty risky move given that it wasn't actually, released in the US. For the most part, I'm just grateful to see some of the Japanese G1 characters getting the love and recognition that they deserve. So, that's a wrap. What do you think? You gonna grab this set? Do you think it's worth the pickup? Are you happy with Volcanicus? Did you pass on Volcanicus like me, knowing full well that this was on the horizon and, in my opinion at least, being the superior set? Thank you so much for watching. If you had a good time, click the clicks, like the likes. It all helps. It's all greatly appreciated. If you've done these things already, way to go, you little legends. So until the next one, be sure to hit me up in the comments below and let's get nerdy with it. Catch.